everybody, this is Kaylee Miller from Musicians Health Collective, and today we're talking a little bit about bony landmarks to help you anchor your evaluation for someone's setup. So this could be for you, this could be for a student or someone you're working with. But oftentimes we know that a setup isn't really working, maybe it doesn't look right or doesn't feel right, but we don't know exactly which factor to address and where our setup is going astray. So today we're just looking at bony landmarks. We're not looking at how that affects the sound or what to do with it, just having a baseline for reading someone's body. So to start with, you're going to actually look at their feet and their legs, how they're organized, assuming that they practice predominantly in standing. Are their feet parallel? Is one leg staggered forward of the other? Is there a turnout? And then is there a different distribution of weight between the left and right sides? And this is just the baseline. What are they like throughout the context of a performance? They might change weight, there's going to be a shift, that's totally fine. You're just looking at the baseline. And the reason for that is that if one leg is further forward or the weight is different left to the right side, that might create a big global asymmetry that makes it seem like there's a shoulder problem when really it's a hip and spine situation that's just diverting our attention. So first looking at the feet, how they're oriented to the ground, travel that awareness up to the pelvis. And we're mostly interested in whether there is an elevation on one side of the hip or a little bit of rotation. Once again, you don't have to fix, you're just looking to see what's happening. Because if there is a little side bend, once again, that's going to present as asymmetry in the shoulders, but it's coming from lower in the kinetic chain, the lower part of the body. In terms of the rotation, same thing. That'll affect the way that you see the upper body, affect how someone holds the instrument, but it's not necessarily a hand, shoulder, neck problem. From the pelvis, you're going to bring your awareness upstream and look at the spine. So we're focused in two planes of motion specifically, which is called the coronal, it's kind of the toaster side bend plane, and the transverse plane, which is the rotational plane. So if you're looking at someone holding their instrument, I play viola. So in this case, you might see people that are really collapsed on this left side. That's telling you that there's a little bit of a side bend happening here, and perhaps a change in setup would help that, perhaps not. Same if we start to look at that other plane, transverse plane. Sometimes people are rotated towards their instrument, both in their head and upper body and in their trunk. So that's kind of your primary concern. The other thing to factor in is if you're looking at someone from the side, are they really rounded forward in a C shape in their spine? Or maybe they're doing the opposite, overcompensating with a really lifted chest and ribs forward and up. That just gives you a little bit more input as to what's happening in the spine that might affect their setup. Now let's bring our awareness to the shoulders. 3 bones in the shoulder. I've written and talked about this before. The clavicle, the scapula, and the humerus. We are mostly interested in the collarbone and the shoulder blade, clavicle and scapula. And what you're looking for is what is the relative symmetry between the two collarbones. So is one side higher up than the other? Is one side further forward than the other? And then if you're looking at the back, how are the two shoulder blades related? Are they relatively similar in their location on the rib cage? Is one further forward, one further up towards the ear? Or just they look a little different, feel a little different side to side? So there are many more nuances to shoulders, but that's just global. Where are the collarbones? Where are the shoulder blades? The last thing to consider is the balance and the position of head and neck. So in terms of your head positions, you can tuck your chin, just like you can do with your spine. You can rotate, you can side bend, you can kind of shift the head to one side, which is less common, or deviation. And with instruments, we often see a combination of all of those things together. So you might have someone that brings their chin down and a little bit over. They might also couple that with a little shoulder elevation to keep the instrument stable. We're just looking to see what is happening in the head and neck Maybe also what's happening in the jaw, is there excess jaw tension or clenching that's happening? And then with all of that information, you would just take notes, write it down, and then that's just your first bit of information as you start to move forward and start to play with different setup configurations. So that's just step one. What do you see? What are these different skeletal landmarks? And then from there, you can start to extrapolate and move forward. How do different changes feel? How do they make the sound? How does that impact technique? But step one is just saying, what are we working with right now? What do I see? And what would I maybe like to change? Thanks so much for watching.